writing this story, it was obviously going to be a playground basketball story. And I was going to lead with the impetus of, hey, there are guys here in the smaller Tucson, Arizona that can be echoed in the same breath as these other legends. I wanted it to be a full stack story in that it was introduced with basketball, but it also had the social commentary. That's why I tied in the Great Migration. I tied in the crack epidemic. I tied in the prison industrial complex, the explosion of gangs through media propaganda in the 90s, because it represented, the timeline of these two legends. So as I'm telling the story from the beginning of their lives, I'm giving you the social commentary of what's going on in American society. I just didn't want it to be merely a basketball story. I wanted to tell it from the scope of what was going on in society, in the world, during these decades, during these times. So I think it fortified the story. It absolutely fortified the story. But going back, which is a side note, Lafayette Fat Lever, I'll tell a story. After his playing days in the NBA, as an NBA scout, he was in New York and he was with a guy, another scout, and they were watching some games. And the scout asked him, he said, "Oh, you're from Tucson, Arizona. Have you ever heard of this guy, Hoegie Simmons?" And Fat Lever said, "Yeah, of course. I grew up watching him." And the guy told Fat Lever, he said, "Hoegie Simmons was as good as any playground legend. I've seen them all. He was that good."
Marquez Price, I've known since back in the day. We played together. But as far as his writings, I have his first book, read his first book, loved it. He's a great person, great writer. So, anything that he's willing to do, and I will always be here for him.
I would say that this is a dream come true because growing up, I lived this story and got to know Hoegie and see my dad on the court and see them in action. But to read the book and get the full context of what they were experiencing as young African-American men, went their different paths, but never ever disconnected. And so it's kind of like a family reunion in a book.
I knew he could write when he was a little boy, and it's just amazing that he's gotten to this point with this book. And I think it was amazing for them that they were able to see that someone really thinks about them and cares about them and wants to know and share with others. So.
Wow, what can I say? As a kid, growing up around Hoegie and Delano was very inspirational. Delano taught me how to play the game of basketball. And then I'd never seen a guy as short as Hoegie dunk a basketball before. It was the most incredible thing to me. So it was nothing when Spud Webb and Nate Robinson did what they did. It was old news for me.
I helped Marquez edit the book, and it's just got so much history in there that I love. That's my favorite part, is I love the history and just being able to read about their lives and the accomplishments that they had while playing.
But the book is really great. It also tells a history about some of our local Tucson legends, but also tells you a history about some of the players too. So I think it goes beyond just basketball. It goes beyond the court. It goes into telling lives of some great athletes that came from Tucson.
To see them in action was amazing. I respected him tremendously. And he showed, even from the earliest days, the signs of leadership, the signs of the ability to communicate effectively. And that has shown through every aspect of his life. And Hoegie had such tremendous skill and ability, and a warm, friendly relationship with people. And I am so thankful that I know them both.
Me and his dad used to take him, and we used to play ball at least 5 or 6 times a day, you understand? And we took him everywhere with us. So, backcourt, me and his daddy, we did everything because his family, the Price family, is why I'm sitting here talking to you today. If it don't be for his family, I wouldn't even be here today.
Now, this book is really what I would consider a legacy piece, a gift to the family, not only about two guys that were legendary players, but it's the story of us because it not only talks about basketball and our exploits on the court, it's the story of the migration of African American people from the South, the struggles that they faced, and also this is a compilation of stories from my father, my mother, my older siblings. I'm from a family of 10, and so it's a very long and complex history. It's a rich history, and I just can't say enough about my son, the author, for giving a gift not only to the family, but to the community and really to the country. I'm very appreciative of it.
Take me back to the inception, Dad, of the backcourt and how basketball played such a major part of your life.
Well, you know, when I was in elementary school, I'm from Gary, Indiana, which was a basketball hotbed.
Basketball means more here in Indiana.
All roads lead back to Indiana for the biggest advancements in basketball.
Basketball has remained Indiana's sport.
In 49 states, it's just basketball. But this is Indiana.
So the Great Migration was largely impactful for Black communities in the segregated South, and they migrated like to the Midwest and the West Coast. And my father, with his family, they were part of the Great Migration, and they went to Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana was unlike anything the Price family had known in Arkansas. It was a hyper-segregated city, but within its Black neighborhoods, there was a sense of community and self-sufficiency that was both comforting and empowering. From the police officers to the teachers to bankers, you know, everyone was Black. So that was, you know, such a instrumental part of his upbringing. Moving to Tucson, Arizona marked a turning point in Delano Price's young life. For the first time, he encountered the realities of integration and the challenges of navigating a multicultural world. Fortunately, Delano's family settled in Sugar Hill, a predominantly Black neighborhood in Tucson. Sugar Hill became both a refuge and a source of identity for Delano as he adjusted to life in Arizona. Sugar Hill was a major hub here in Tucson, Arizona for Black Americans because it gave them the opportunity to be a community, to work together. You have the parks and school system, you have Dunbar here in Tucson, Arizona. Today, Sugar Hill remains a symbol of the enduring strength of Tucson's Black community. So we're standing here in the middle of Mansfield Park, Sugar Hill, and this is probably the first place I learned how to shoot a basketball other than the YMCA, the old YMCA downtown. But many a day I saw my dad and Hoegie Simmons rip the nets off of these rims, just playing for hours, putting on theatrics, putting on a show, you know, guys dunking and rattling the rim, you know, my dad pulling up from right inside this half court line and splashing.
We came here when I was about 8 years old in 1959. When I was in the 6th grade, I was on the playground one day at University Heights Elementary School, which is not too far from here, and I started playing basketball, and there was just something that from that point fascinated me about a ball going in a basket. You know, the results were immediate as opposed to playing golf. You gotta hit it, walk, but I just fell in love with it, man. And then, you know, from there, I went to, you know, Rock Cruz Junior High School, and I went out for the team and, you know, made the team as a 7th grader. But in those days, the 8th graders got preference. Man, that fueled me. And then I went home that summer. My friend Archie Douglas told me about the YMCA. From that moment, I poured myself through the hoop at the YMCA that summer. In fact, I used to sneak in there because I couldn't afford it. And then the director, and he gave me a membership all the way through high school. But from my 8th grade year, we came back. We went to the city championship. Coach elected me captain of the team. I was all tournament, all city. And I never sat down again.
And how you honed your jump shot, which became, you know, the greatest weapon of your arsenal. You said you would go from basket to basket in the YMCA,
yeah,
just shooting.
Playing imaginary games, and I would go to the Y, which was right down the street from Tucson High, and I would play these imaginary games between the Celtics and the Lakers. I was a big Celtic fan. I would try to mimic everybody from Cassie Russell, who was a big star in Michigan, the big donut, Oscar Robertson, Elgin Baylor, Rick Barry. I would look in these magazines and these guys would be posing, and it was weird at first. Man, I would shoot and kick my legs back like Dick Barnett, and it was funny, man. So I realized that as a smaller guard, to get over the big guys, I developed certain tactics. You know, I had to jump, and I was strong. I had to jump up higher and fade back.
Yeah, and you always shot at the apex of your jump shot.
At the apex, like Dick Barnett, fall back, baby.
Even in the pictures, I still see you jumping up very high to get your shot off.
And then I would push guys. When guys would get up on me, I'd push them off, and you know.
Yeah. So you've often referred to Hoegie Simmons as the other half of your basketball heart. Take me back to when you first saw him, and then you were first rivals your freshman year, but then you came together to become this classic backcourt that has just left an indelible mark on everybody.
I was a freshman in high school, and we had this team that was by far and away the best freshman team. We set scoring records and everything, and I had heard of people talking about this guy, Hoegie Simmons, Hoegie Wolf. It was January 14th, I think, of 1965, maybe. We were playing Pueblo freshmen. I saw this guy, we were out there shooting around, warming up pregame, and this guy came out, and man, he just had a presence about him. And over his arms, he could stand up straight, erect, and pick a quarter up off the floor, man. And during the game, he dribbled right up to our center, Chuco Miranda, who was 6'5". He shot in his face, and man, he looked over at the bench floor, and he went like that. And
like
I
it
said,
was nothing, huh?
Man, like it was nothing. So I knew right then and there that he was different.
Mr. Hoegie, I had the honor of cutting his hair, not knowing who he really was, until I got to hear the stories. And I even got some good info from some of the Wildcats that shows that he was a really good basketball player and one of the best in Tucson history.
Yeah, yeah.
I asked Mr. Elliott, was Hoegie the real deal? He said, yes.
Yeah.
And yes, he said he would come down and dominate them.
Oh, he had a lot of little tricks he could do. You know, he could stand up straight and somehow he could touch the floor.
Yeah, those long arms.
You know, we used to get some tall guys that he didn't believe that they didn't believe that he could do that. He used to do it. We used to win a quarter, 50 cents or something off of him. You know, my son used to follow him around and try to do things like that too, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pretty cool guy.
So right here we got Mr. Hoegie Simmons. That's Unc right there. Immortalized in mural form. There's a picture in the newspaper, an article. I think he was right out of college. And he was playing one-on-one with a guy. He was doing this acrobatic swooping hook shot. And they caught it. That was a depiction of that image. That's him. You know, all the 5'7", 6'9" wingspan. You know, looping over the planet or jumping out of the gym, as he said. Wallace Hoegie Simmons was born in the heart of Monroe, Louisiana, a place steeped in the rhythms and tensions of the Deep South. When Hoegie Simmons came here from Monroe, Louisiana, he first landed in South Park, which is another historically black neighborhood and community. And he was there for a year. He ended up moving over to Sugar Hill, and Delano Price and Hoegie Simmons, they linked up at Tucson High School, and while they were in the Sugar Hill neighborhood together, and they just became, you know, inseparable instantaneously. And that partnership, the backcourt, it started on the basketball court, but, you know, they were best of friends, and, you know, they would walk to school, to and from school every day, and they spent an inordinate amount of time, you know, just being adolescents. And the basketball spear was the spearhead of their relationship that has carried for decades and, you know, the inception of the backcourt.
Hoagie was everywhere.
Yeah.
Hoagie had a car, and not everybody had a car when you were in high school. And I remember one evening he drove up, and I think I was dating your father at that point. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And he just laughed because I found out later that he was living with this person because he had, I think, had been put out because he was doing some things that, don't do.
When Wallace Hoagie Simmons moved to Tucson's north side, it marked the beginning of a transformative chapter in his life. The neighborhood was a vibrant yet cohesive community, filled with families who had migrated west in search for better opportunities. It was also home to Delano Price and his family, who lived on Lester Street, just a short walk from Hoagie's new residence on Hampton. The proximity proved to be serendipitous, as Hoagie and Delano quickly became inseparable. Yeah, the Tucson High 1969 state championship team, the last to date in Tucson High history to win a state basketball championship, through that backcourt with Delano Price, Hoagie Simmons, and a part of that three-headed juggernaut was another great player in Kenny Ball. They averaged 83.3 points per game for the season as a team. Delano Price led with 21.5 points per game. Kenny Ball was right after, with 20 points, and Hoagie trailing with 18 points per game. Delano Price and Kenny Ball were both all-conference, all-city, and all-state first team, as well as honorable mention All-Americans. And Hoagie was right there with them. He was second team. He stayed close to home. He went to Phoenix College, and he played there 2 years. He was an all-conference player, captain of the team, led the team in scoring. In one particular game, he scored 45 points, and the crowd, in jubilation, they started to throw coins on the floor, to pay homage to his name, Price. And at the time, his high school sweetheart, Jackie Barnes, they became pregnant with their first child. And my father made the decision to return to Tucson, Arizona to be a father. And from there, they both went on to be community icons, educators. My father and mother really have left their imprints in the community here in Tucson, Arizona. It's been great to see and be a part of as far as family lineage. Take us to how you first met and saw Delano Price.
Well, we went to Mount Calvary. So that's how I got to know him. And then...
That's how you got to know Dad?
Okay. We actually, everyone, just about every black person in this neighborhood went to Mount Calvary.
Yeah.
So...
And the history of Mount Calvary is the oldest church in...
The oldest black church in Arizona. Then we got into junior high. We were both in the same class. And he just would have a good time because they would mess up my name and he'd sit behind me and he would just laugh, and have a good time. But when they'd get to his name, they'd butcher it, and so I would start laughing. And then we went to Tucson High. Still didn't like him. He was okay. He was, he's real cool. But
that's the first time I've heard you say that about him. He was cool.
Yeah, he was cool. Then till we got to our senior year. And then we started noticing each other.
On the other side with Hoagie Simmons, he went to Glendale Community College after that storied year in 1969, and he became an all-conference player. He was averaging close to 30 points a game. He was a JUCO All-American. He was heading back to Louisiana, after Glendale Community College, and he ended up at Texas A&I, now Texas A&M. And that's where the legend of Hoagie Simmons really took off, in comparison. You talk about playground folklore, To sum it up, it's like talking about a mythical, figure, because he was 5'7" with a 6'9" wingspan and a 45-inch vertical. And in the Steinke Arena, people would fill the arena to a capacity just to watch him throw down dunks and warm-ups. And he averaged 2 dunks in game, and he's flushing over guys a foot taller than him. And he averaged 29 points a game, and he scored back-to-back 50-point games. He was 2-time All-American in AIA. He has, at least 22 records that he set in 2 years at a 4-year institution. So it's unbelievable what he was able to do. He had no flaws in his game. He was awesome, and I was able to see him when I was a kid growing up, and when he was in his 30s and 40s, still doing backwards dunks and things of that nature, 360 three-pointer. So it's just sheer awesome, to see. So the tale of, many basketball players who are bereft of a backup plan. Hoegie returned to Tucson, Arizona, and that's where his playground legend just exploded. But not having that backup plan and not being as academically sound, he was relegated to the street life. And, it went into the trajectory of street pharmaceutical.
Crack cocaine.
The problem is crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine may deny these black children a decent future.
Once upon a time, in a not so far away and familiar place, the United States entered what became known as the crack era. During the early 1980s, a new drug somehow infiltrated low-income black and brown communities, causing crime and chaos.
For Hoegie, the 1980s marked the slow unraveling of a dream. Basketball, once his salvation, had become a distant memory, replaced by harsh realities of the crack epidemic. It took him on a different path, and that's where the story of him and Delano Price is so unique, in that it created a dichotomy, because one was becoming a community icon on a straight and narrow path administrator, and the other was very much entrenched in the street life and becoming a two-way legend in that realm as a basketball player and in the shadows. And but they remained rooted in their bond, and they continued on that way, and they had the mutual respect. They didn't involve each other, with their worlds. But Hoegie Simmons he's a once-in-a-lifetime player, absolute once-in-a-lifetime player. And his legend needs to be told, along with Delano Price, as the Southwest's best-kept secret as far as playground folklore.
Here he is again, and he flies! Air Cotton, set for takeoff!
The story of the playground folklore, Southwest best kept secret, is so prominent that it's echoed throughout years and decades, to where you have another prodigy that, rose from Sugar Hill community, and he's pretty much the prince and king and everything of Sugar Hill now is Bryce Cotton. Born and raised in the neighborhood, and to go on to Providence University and accomplish the amazing feats that he did, to score 36 points in an NCAA tournament against a powerhouse like North Carolina, and to lead them in scoring and other statistical categories, and to go on and be in the top 10 ESPN highlight with the Utah Jazz catching an alley-oop, another diminutive guard. He can't be bigger than, he's listed at 6 feet, but he's really about 5'10", 5'11", but he's won countless MVPs, championships, scoring titles.
This is cool, man. I appreciate you letting me be a small part of it, man.
Yeah. Nah, you're a major part, man. Like I said, the book, based in Sugar Hill, and everything that's come out of here. It's been some phenomenal athletes that come out of here, man. It's just, by the time you hit the scene, a lot of things like the crack epidemic and gangs started to infiltrate. So it took away from a lot of the sports, but there's plenty of All-American, high school football, basketball. Yeah, it's a lot, man. So, for you to emerge from that, man, it's for me to say, you the pride of the neighborhood, that's an understatement, because a lot of people definitely have eyes and they're proud, and, to see you come out of this neighborhood and do what you're doing, man, Bryce Cotton, man, take us back to the inception of you as a basketball player here in Sugar Hill at Donna Liggins Recreation Center, Mansfield Park, where you are deemed the Prince of Sugar Hill. Take us back to the beginning, man.
First time I ever heard that. Yeah, man, there's so many memories being around here. My older brother, Justin, 8 years older than me, so early days just running around with him at the park. And in those younger days, you know, Donna Liggins Center wasn't even open yet, so we just played on the outside courts, or once in a blue moon, we go to the top of the hill.
Yeah.
So it started off there, and then, you know, once the center was built, it was called Northwest at the time, and yeah, it just became a thing for all the kids in the neighborhood to come to after school. And then, yeah, I'd just be shooting baskets all day and night, sometimes with my friends, sometimes with the older men, sometimes by myself, but it was a daily thing. And, you know, live basically 2 steps away from the park, so this was easy to be up here all day.
Wow. So, you know, fast forward to your senior year at Palo Verde High School, and you emerged as, you know, top of the line star here in town. Was that something as a kid you were able to foresee or extrapolate, like this is what I want to be? Or is it something that you just worked your way into?
I'd say it's a little bit of both. So it's what I was working on my whole life, but I also believed it.
Yeah.
I think it helped my mom and my grandma. Like, they used to instill so much confidence in me at an early age when I didn't have it.
Yeah.
And it was like they believed in me so much and gave me so much assurance at an early age. I started thinking to myself, like, damn, okay, maybe I am that good.
Flagstaff, 2,999 points as a Wildcat. Here's Price.
Oh my God.
Back and forth, bamboozling Brisbane. Already, he's a 2-time champion. He was the 2018 MVP. He has 45 points.
And luckily they did that, because at the time, nobody in any basketball circle thought I was really a good player growing up. So I think that ended up being my biggest blessing in disguise, never being told how good I was. So it just made me hungrier to prove people wrong and holding on to that day where everybody sees finally what I had saw in myself.
It's a special treat for me, you know, in writing this book, doing the soundtrack and documentary, to have you a part of it. Because being a historian, aficionado of the game, especially here in town, you know, hearing the stories of legends like my father and Hoegie Simmons, all the way to the present, like with you, like that's an interesting, you know, time capsule and spectrum of ball that's been played in a city that is really unheralded, you know, like a best, you know, kept secret type of thing, but so much greatness, you know, and you're the torchbearer that, you know, we want to continue to support you and be behind you. It means a lot for you to, you know, come back and be a part of something like this, man. So all the blessings and all the love in the world, man. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that. And like I told you off camera, man, I got nothing but respect for everything that you're doing. And it's cool. It's cool that we get to have this conversation. And as we both kind of tell stories and reflect back on different things, it's just cool to see 2 people from the same city, took different paths, but we both found success in our own right. So all love on this end too.
All right, bro.
My dog.
Appreciate you.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's why I say, you know, in this book, you know, Dad and Hoegie, they're getting their flowers, but, you know, I'm saying now for you, for your flowers, that story wouldn't have been possible without you.
Oh, thank you.
And, you know, Delano Price likes to trumpet Miles Davis style his achievements,
Yes.
and we celebrate that. And you know how I feel about him and look up to him and honor and respect you, but it's no different from how I look at you. You're right there, the same. The 2 people, that's the first thing every day I wake up and express my gratitude for waking up, thank the Most High, and then you and him. But
You'll make me cry.
I wanted it to be said on the record that, like I said, he gets the glory of the book, and we want to celebrate.
He loves that book.
Yeah.
He and Hoegie.
But there would be no book without the woman that he met, Jackie Barnes, when he arrived here in Tucson, Arizona, in Sugar Hill. So Papa, so to speak, Dad is the body, but you are the heartbeat.
Oh,
so
thank you. My gosh.
Right? That's it. All right, not only are you rapping on the Backcourt soundtrack, you're embodying Hoegie Simmons. How did you tap into the emotional and historical weight of that character, and what did you discover about yourself in the process?
Just kind of reading about Hoegie, I related to him, just the different struggles of, playing both sides, in the street a little bit, and also on the court, and just trying to bring his story to life the best way that I could, and just dig deep, for my love for basketball, because I understood the conflict that it brings of trying to keep both worlds separate at the same time. So, I realized how much I truly, truly loved basketball, and I think that helped the process with tapping into Hoegie.
How did working on the Backcourt challenge or expand your creative process compared to other projects?
I'd say that it expanded it because I was able to touch on another story that I wouldn't have done on my own. And being able to at least try to bring that to life is, one, is inspiring and it's exciting. And I feel like I was able to kind of put my own tone on something that is personal and still have that little bit of Tommy in there, but still be able to, talk on points from another perspective, which was super dope to me.
The cover art for the Backcourt is visually striking and emotionally layered. What were the first images or references that came to your mind when you started creating that cover?
Ooh. Yeah, I honestly kind of started thinking back to when I was growing up, hooping, and I started thinking about the imagery that I saw just from the perspective of being on the court and playing outside. So I started by taking reference images of different courts around town. Wanted to get different textures of asphalt, nets in different conditions, rims in different conditions, that sort of thing. And then I pretty much used that as the basis and then built upon it. Then I went to the library and started to look for different clippings from, Tucson High, and then used some of the reference images that you sent me, and I just kind of built from there and try to capture really the emotion and the layered feeling of the story itself.
We don't need a doctor for the checkup. Already know I'm next up. I'm ready for the bless up. Yes, sir. Tommy had to make up his mind, but it's game over if it's cash on the line. What?